And I thought I'm going to do a video on Rosie, but then this entered my mind. Avoid trouble. If at all possible, do not engage. Do not engage. So whoever this is for, it could be for anybody. It popped into my mind. It could be for me too. If you're on this earth, which you are on this earth, if you're watching this, unless you're watching it from space, good morning. Hello there, the Dawn. It's nice to see you on here, and welcome. Welcome, Applebrooks, honey. Yeah. Avoid the trouble. If at all possible, do not engage in it. You may find today that trouble will spring up out of nowhere. You may. It's going to spring up out of nowhere, and you might be tempted to engage in it. You might be tempted to open your mouth, say something just to say it. Don't do it. Do not do it. It's like where there's no wood, the fire will die down. It will die down. So avoid the trouble at all cost, if at all possible. Sometimes you can't, and do not engage. If you got to engage in anything that arises that's really, really negative, think very carefully before you open your mouth. Think very carefully before you react. Remain calm, and you may find out your best option is not to react, not to engage, because we are living in the day and age where trouble will spring up out of nowhere. And I'm beginning to think, which we know, we're all being tested on this earth. You are being tested day in and day out in all kinds of situations. And if you don't pass the test, like in school, you got to repeat. You got to do a takeover. You got to do a, you got to be retested. Even in military, you got to get retested. You'll get retested several times before they absolutely fail you and you're out the door. You'll probably have to take some type of proficiency tests before you are accepted to a job. They may give you time to retake it. Why am I saying this? Avoid trouble, if at all possible, and do not engage. Do not engage. This could be a test to see if you've learned your lessons, because it does happen in this classroom on Earth. Some people feel that we are in a classroom. There is a theory that we are in Earth is a giant classroom, and that there's a great big dome above us, and you have all of these other beings out there, these other species or whatever. Could even be, I don't know who they would be, but they're out there looking on the inside, kind of like the Hunger Games, scenario thing. I sure hope that we don't get into the Hunger Games. Do not engage in a way that is going to make your situation or the trouble a whole lot worse than what it already is. Because if you think about it, we're living in the day and age, it's spiritual. And hello, Mickey, honey. Welcome, everyone. If you're just tuning in, welcome and happy Monday morning. We're living in the day and age where the spiritual is literally falling over. It's spilling over into the physical more and more and more. And it's nothing to play with. It's like playing with spiritual fire. You don't want to play with spiritual fire that has manifested into this real world unless you know exactly what you're doing. Because when you engage in the manner in which you engage, it's like battles. They really explode when you have both sides like boom, 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 boom. It's like poof. And situations, conversations can get blown way out of proportion. You don't want to do no tit for tat. You don't want to say, but you this and you that, and then you have the other person, you this and you that. You don't want to do that. You want to respond in a way that is loving, a way that is peaceful, And if you do that, I promise you, you will be able to have the words come out. When you come in from a position of love, the words will come out without you even have to even think. There is a scripture, it says, do not think of what you're going to say beforehand. You will be given the words. You'll be given the words beforehand. Because, we have all these situations in our life that, you think, well, if I am faced with this situation, I know exactly what I'm going to say when I get up there. So you have it all planned out. And have you ever got to that situation? You got it all planned out what you want to say because, you're upset and stuff. You're going to give people a piece of your mind. And then you get there and then you don't. You don't. Something stops you. And you think, you know what? I'm not. It's not worth it. It's not worth my peace leaving my body. It's not. That may be what you are facing today. You may want to lash out. You may want to do to others the way that you've been done. Do not do it. Don't do it. Your silence is much deadlier than any words that could come at you. Silence is deadly. Deadly. And I don't like that term, but it is. And maybe you can't help it that you're a very silent person and that you don't respond in the way that someone may want you to respond just to get a reaction out of you. It takes a very, very strong person to remain silent. There's a time to speak and a time to remain silent, okay? There's a time to embrace, and there's a time to refrain from embracing. There's a time for love. There's a time for hate. There's a time for war. There's a time for peace. Have you noticed they're the opposites? When it says to everything, there is a season. You have a season for the war. Then you have a season for the peace. You have a season for the love. Then you have a season for the hate. You have a season for the speaking up. And then you have a season for the be silent. They're opposites. They're opposites. Isn't that interesting? The opposites are at play even in the Ecclesiastes. Y'all, could you please give this video a thumbs up if you're watching, and be sure to hit that subscribe button. The opposite, the world of opposite is always constant. Wow. That speaks volumes without even having to add to it. The Ecclesiastes, to everything there is a season. That speaks volumes of opposites. Opposites. I'm going to leave it at that. I am going to leave it at that. So, avoid trouble, if at all possible, and do not engage. So this would be a time of peace. Even though the trouble would be there, you don't want the trouble, even though it's there, you don't want to respond trouble with trouble. You want to respond with calmness, or not say nothing at all, Love is silent when words would hurt. Love is silent. And even though it's silent, it's still very powerful, the frequency of it. So I'm going to go. So remember the Ecclesiastes, a time for war, a time for peace, a time to laugh, a time to cry, a time to throw stones, a time to gather them, a time to all of that. They're opposites. We live in a world of opposites, duality. You got the good and your bad. It's even, wow, in the Ecclesiastes. I'm going to go. So with that being said, hello, wherever you are in any part of the world. Hello From my heart to yours, love you. Have a wonderful rest of your morning. And thank you, Apple Brooks, honey, Mickey, honey. If we got any other moderator on here, thank you. And thank you to the moderators also, regardless if you're on here or not. It is greatly appreciated. And thank you all for subscribing to this channel. Thank you for joining. Thank you for giving a thumbs up. Thank you for being part of my life. I am going to go. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Consider it. And thank you once again. Do not engage. We're in a world of duality. A time for war, a time for peace, a time to love, a time to hate, a time to laugh, a time to cry. The opposites. The opposites. It's great. It's right in our face. Right there. Love you.